Hi. So apparently this is live. I'm trying all sorts of new apps out to see how this whole live thing works out. And in the meantime, let me see if we can post some sort of link for people on going live here. In this video kind of session here, in this video session, I'm going to talk about price predictions for different cryptocurrencies. Well, a lot of people ask me this, and you know what? It's just true. A lot of people want some sort of like idea of where cryptocurrencies are going. And I've been looking at this for a long time. All right, I guess this stream is already posted on social media. All right, I'm going to leave that alone. So, people want a direction where cryptocurrencies are going, and what are the hottest cryptocurrencies? People don't want to lose their money. Most people who get into cryptocurrencies, they want to amplify their wealth. They want to amplify their finances, or they want to learn something, or they're bored. There's a ton of reasons here. With the internet growing, people wanted to learn about the internet for whatever reasons they had. But one thing that was kind of cool is you could send messages to people that you loved. You could email people. With the internet amplifying our ability to communicate with one another and get information, you might be able to look up some stuff that you couldn't find before. Most of the early internet probably grew from pornography and such. When I was around with the internet, their internet was still pretty early. I got introduced to the internet in 94 and 95. So, well, what does that have to do with cryptocurrencies? Cryptocurrencies are changing the internet big time. Cryptocurrencies themselves are a new internet. You may hear of Web 3.0 and such. So here I'm going to go over different predictions that I have. Every year I come up with cryptocurrency predictions. In the beginning of myself being in cryptocurrency, I just kind of talked about things that I predicted and thought. And, I predicted things like the Bitcoin mining hash rate difficulty. I predicted that out 2 years and was within 5% off, which, looking back, I think a good chunk of that was luck, but also a lot of it was just kind of having a feel, more of an emotional feel than an intellectual look on it. A feel of virality, people getting into it, how quickly word spreads, some laws here and there, like probably not Moore's law, but some laws. So a lot of these predictions, there's a lot of intellectual things you can use and facts and evidence, but ultimately it has a lot to do with feel. And I think feel is a way that, and emotions are a way that we can access more information from other smart people and other smart entities, such as the universal mind concept. Oops. So what we have here is, long ago, I predicted that this was just with a group of people. I sat there, these group of people, I'll try to find one of them online, but I know at least another two online. I predicted that that Bitcoin's price would inevitably hit $64,000. And this prediction was done in about 2014. I can't remember the season, but sometime in 2014. But I really felt adamant that the price would be between $32,000 and $64,000. I reposted and said this prediction last year. And I also predicted the exact day that Bitcoin would break its all-time high, which was December 17th. Looking back at it, maybe it was 16th, but that was based on a lunar cycle. That was also based on typical times that Bitcoin had hit all-time highs in the past. And it was also based a lot on feeling. So I was pretty surprised that I got that right on the point. The morning of December 17th, I think it was December 17th, on Twitter, on the morning, I said, okay, hey, today is that day. It was sort of my reminder to people that I had brought this prediction to. Said, hey, today's the day that Bitcoin's going to smash through its all-time high. And it did, and it smashed a lot through its all-time high. It smashed through 20,000 and into 25,000 in that day. That was pretty crazy. So that's an example of one prediction. Another prediction was with the Dash cryptocurrency. I think this was in 2017. Yeah, it was early 2017. I talked with today's CEO of the Dash core group and let him know, this was in 2017. I said, hey, Dash is going to surpass the price of Bitcoin. Now, I didn't mean that Dash would be number one in the crypto market cap. I meant that, hey, Bitcoin's price today is like $600. Maybe it'll hit up to 1,000 again. or maybe it was 800 at the time or 500. I don't remember. But what I was communicating is Dash is going to go greater than that. Dash is going to break $1,000. And that's exactly what it did near the end of 2017. I think I had my years right. I hope I had my years right. If not, it was 2018, but I'm pretty sure it was the end of 2017. So he was like, wow, that would be amazing if this happened. And that's what happened with Dash. Hey, if you want to ask me about Dash today, I'd say it's not going to do too great. And there are some very core things that need to change. It saddens me, but well. What predictions do I have now, or have I had before? Well, a little more than a year ago, it was December 2020. I predicted that HEX would at least 20-fold its price. I announced this prediction. I don't think I publicly announced this prediction, but a group of people that I was working with, I shared this with and told them I was very excited about HEX. HEX ended up more than 100-fold its price, but at the time, HEX was about 0.4 of a penny. It did drop to like 0.28 or 0.2 something of a penny, but I could see that HEX was definitely, I felt very strongly that HEX, instead of being worth 4 pennies, was going to be worth as much as 8 to 10 pennies. And by the end of the year, or within a year's time, HEX did hit an all-time high of 48 cents. Maybe it was more than that. Maybe it was 50-something cents with Uniswap and whatever's going on there. But HEX ended up doing more than 100-fold. I was surprised by that. I felt very strongly it was going to be at least 20-fold. And I put my money where my mouth was, as I always do with these predictions. All right, so what predictions do I have now with crypto? I really want to announce it for the first time over video. Before I would tweet it, before I would tweet this, other times I would send it out in an email that a smallish group of people were part of, different investors that I met over the years and different people that I'd worked with that I really cared about. Well, so what's going on now in the cryptocurrency space? There are a lot of super exciting things going on. The NFT world is super exciting for collectibles, for games, for Web3 based, for new internet games, new internet collectibles. That gets into this very popular metaverse topic. So NFTs are pretty awesome for making just a better virtual reality. Virtual reality, metaverse, whatever. That's been around for quite a while, but it's getting pretty interesting when you can have items in your metaverse, whatever metaverse you're in, and transfer them to other metaverses or other experiences. So NFTs are super exciting. Other really exciting things going on in the cryptocurrency space are still in decentralized finance. And the fact that the world wants to do the web differently. So what you have out there that's really hot is HEX. HEX is super hot. A store of value has always been super hot for human beings. If you go to the URL geni.to/money, that'll talk a bit about this with human beings, but it's articles that I wrote. And what else is very interesting going on? Ethereum's fees have been just wrecking people and have made Ethereum very unusable for your average person, but super usable still for people with a lot of money that want to become richer, or that want to play around and have expensive NFTs all day, or whatever it is. So I'm going to share with you my predictions for HEX, for PulseChain, which I do believe will inevitably tear Ethereum apart. Ethereum is really some genius work that is starting to become slow to new innovations. But that's PulseChain, PulseX. I mentioned HEX before, NFTs. I'm going to talk a lot about that here. First of all, I don't think I was, I thought I was the first person to use the hashtag HexFlex, but I believe Johnny Chaos, he may have used that before me, maybe a month before me, or maybe not. Maybe it was like a month after I saw his first tweet about that. But Johnny Chaos, if you're watching, damn, that'd be awesome. I love you, and I don't see why you would watch this anyways. He's a busy hexagon. And so I first hex flexed or flexed Ferrari, and here I'm going to flex some other stuff that I just like and like to talk about before getting into cryptocurrency. Why this does a cool job at connecting with other people connecting with me, right? So, hey, here's some things that I really like besides cryptocurrencies. I've been drinking this a lot lately, this Coke and coffee. Yeah, caffeine. Yeah. But I have this in front of me, this Louis Vuitton little case. Just have it in front of me. Forgot about it. I put a Cartier cologne in there. It's like a 100 milliliter bottle holder thing from Louis Vuitton. I like it. It's cool. It feels nice and protects my bottle from breaking. My sweetheart got me this sweet shirt here. I really like Versace shirts. They're comfortable. They're cool. But check this out, man. This Louis Vuitton belt that I have going on with this. It's like it has something called a flex flag. I guess that's a cool thing to do today. I don't know. But then back with the shirt, there's these the buttons have like a V. It's pretty sweet. It's sweet. It's pretty cool, pretty sweet. Kind of mix those words together and you get queet. I put this down from earlier because I didn't want to wear it. This Gucci belt. There's all these rappers would talk about Gucci, right? And there's this one song. I think it's called "Only One," like "You're the Only One," and it talks about this girl putting that booty on that Gucci belt. So I was really happy to get one of these because I can talk about that. But that's all I really want to share right now. That's all I want to share right now. But getting into cryptocurrencies, for anybody who's being smart about it, not smart, for anybody who's taking like risk and learning about cryptocurrencies, things like that'll happen. Your wealth can get amplified. Really, what you want to do can get amplified. Your ability to transact will get amplified. And pretty much everything we do in life is a transaction. Excuse me. Like Coca-Cola with coffee has already hit me up here. So, yeah, if you're in cryptocurrency, there's a lot of cryptocurrencies out there that want your attention. They want your money. The people who put these cryptocurrencies together, they want your money. And damn, it's hard to teach yourself how to stay away from them. But what you can do is any time you spend with cryptocurrency, any cryptocurrency you spend, any money you spend, attention you spend, whatever, think of all of it like a learning experience. Think of all of it as your way of paying for your education for this new world, because cool things can happen. Like a lot of this flex stuff going on, or I love this LV thing too. If you want nice stuff, you'll have it with the crypto world. If you don't want nice stuff, then you won't, because that's not what you want. Whatever you desire and want, that'll happen. And cryptocurrencies can really help people do that. They can really help people exercise their free will better. It's just insane. So if you're watching this, you obviously want to learn about cryptocurrencies in the first place, right? All right. So first predictions I have on here, I wrote a lot of them down. Okay, as far as Bitcoin, I do not think Bitcoin is going to go anywhere near or surpassing $64,000 this year. I don't even remember the all-time high this year. I think it was 68,000. When I made that prediction long ago, I kept in mind the market size and for store value and money transmission and all sorts of things, which are trillion-dollar industries. The store of value industry, it's more than 7 trillion between the United States and Canada and China. Sorry, not Canada. Canada's like nothing. Money transfer, these are really huge industries. But can Bitcoin solve those problems? In 2014, I could see it wasn't going to solve a lot of those problems. It might solve store value, and it looked to solve that. But for this year, 2022, I'd put a bet down. Like I'm always open to be wrong. I haven't been wrong yet when I make a really clear, distinct, like, hey, this is what's going to happen. But it has happened at times. Bitcoin's not going to surpass $64,000 per Bitcoin. Um, I truly, it will go under $32,000. I feel it will. And these are just feelings I'm telling you about, by the way, but expect Bitcoin to stay pretty stagnant. Bitcoin's becoming more and more boring, to be frank, with people who already have their money in the cryptocurrency world, which is like what, $1.7 trillion industry right now, about. So Bitcoin's going to be pretty stagnant. Ethereum. So Ethereum's fees. I would call this a prediction too. I predict that Ethereum's fees, they're not going to become that much lower, despite all of these L2s out there. Um, but Ethereum's becoming a lot more institutional, like Bitcoin. I mean, Ethereum is an incredible tool. It's like space age compared to Bitcoin. Ethereum's awesome. And so many people are trying to make the new Ethereum. You have Gavin Woods, who used to work with Vitalik and Anthony Diorio. You have Gavin Woods, who's now doing Polkadot, and you have people as well doing all sorts of other smart contract kind of things. But the point is, Ethereum is genius and amazing. And you have all of these systems wanting to compete with Ethereum. But today, people don't really have to compete with Ethereum because that code is out there. A lot of problems have been solved. Anybody competing with Ethereum, really what they're competing against, they can't compete with Vitalik and his team. They're genius. They're super genius people, and they're super passionate, and they don't care about money. I mean, they care about their work. They're passionate about that. They're passionate about what they're doing. And I don't believe there are many people on Earth who can compete with that. However, Ethereum's ecosystem has done awesome. That's why it's number one today, number one for smart contracts. But you have PulseChain coming out, and PulseChain doesn't need to compete with the genius of Vitalik. The people who are behind PulseChain, they've already proven themselves through the HEX project to be excellent with game theory and tokenomics from an economical point of view. And really, that's what most people care about that are in cryptocurrencies in the first place. They just care about their value rising. And if they can do other stuff, then that's great. So Vitalik, not so much Vitalik, sorry. Ethereum has a ton of competition coming in. But the prediction here is that, yeah, just because L2s and PulseChain and such, just because they're popping up, Ethereum's fees, they're really not going to become that much lower. PulseChain is going to become the most popular alternative for Ethereum. There's too much benefit. If you're an Ethereum user, there's too much benefit for you to use PulseChain. And there's too much benefit and easy. It's too easy for you, depending on the wallet you use, to just switch your entire wallet over to PulseChain. It's so much easier than like long ago when it had to do with Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash and such. So, I do see PulseChain becoming the most popular alternative to exiting away from Ethereum. And I do see PulseChain surpassing Ethereum. I don't see it happening in 2022. If it does, holy crap, I do see it happening sooner after that, maybe 2023. So keep a lookout for PulseChain, learn about it. If you lose some money learning about it, so what? At least you got the education. It's going to help you. And another thing, I've been looking at a lot of dynamics on how PulseChain is going to affect Ethereum. And, I have a feeling that PulseChain, because of this massive airdrop that's happening with PulseChain, because of PulseChain's usability, because the fact that so many things that couldn't be done on Ethereum before can now be done on PulseChain, because of the feelings I get and the emotions I get, and because of history kind of repeating itself with people that lent their private keys out to large exchanges, or people who said, hey, big exchange, hold on to my cryptocurrencies and let me trade with them. The history of people threatening to sue exchanges over new technologies coming out that gave people free airdrops. Any of you aren't following me, don't worry. But because of a lot of things, I feel very strongly that Ethereum's price is going to plummet more. I don't know how much more. We're obviously in a bear market, pretty much everything is suffering and getting hammered and murdered besides HEX. HEX is like the only thing doing good. And there's a very good reason for that. But yeah, so I personally would not hold on to Ethereum as a store of value. One, Ethereum was never meant to be a store of value anyways. So, sorry, the Ether currency on the Ethereum network as a currency was not meant to be a store of value. Never designed to be a store of value. And its price is just gonna plummet. I don't know how much, but hey, at the end of the year, if Ethereum is greater than $2,000 per Ethereum, regardless of how much inflation is going on with the US dollar, I have zero faith in Ethereum as far as a investment. That's just how I feel. So I'm predicting that Ethereum is going to continue to drop, maybe drop slowly, maybe plummet and then go up a little bit, whatever. But over time, on average, Ethereum is just going to keep going down. NFTs. So I do love NFTs. If you're someone who has the worldview that NFTs are just expensive JPEGs or copies of JPEGs that you pay money for, you're gonna have to update your worldview on that. Hey, Richard Hart, you're gonna have to update your worldview on that. But like, NFTs, people who play video games, I think, can understand this part. A lot of video games, you have your own in-game items. You may want to sell these in-game items to people on certain markets, like World of Warcraft. And next thing you know, Blizzard company from World of Warcraft is pissed off at you for selling gold from World of Warcraft, or they're pissed off at you for selling items that you had in the game to other people. You doing that really affects Blizzard's business. But every in-game item can be this NFT that you keep hearing about, can be this token that you keep hearing about. And so, yeah, NFTs are just going to continue to get a lot more popular. It's hard for NFTs to get popular on Ethereum because of the fees. Your average person alone will go to a comic book store and buy some Magic the Gathering cards or buy some other like Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh or whatever collectible. People will buy collectibles, they'll play with them, they'll trade them with friends. They might want to trade them for money. They might want to hold on to a long time, whatever, it's fun. NFTs are the ultimate way to digitize collectibles. But people who do this, people who buy Magic the Gathering cards, they pay $10, maybe $20 for new cards and a new deck, or $15 for a booster pack. People pay this money, but with Ethereum just have like the fee just to use Ethereum is going to be at least that price, $20 to mint a collectible, $20. If you were buying Pokemon cards, and there was a $20 tax just for you to buy them, or a $30 or $40 tax just for you to buy them, just for you to transact them, and that transaction being the purchase, it's not worth it. So PulseChain is promising lower fees. I see it working out like that for a while. There's also WAX, the World Asset Exchange. WAX is based off EOS, but the WAX community has really embraced NFTs and trading cards. We're the Ethereum world, OpenSea and all them, where they have attracted the NBA and such. The WAX network has excited huge companies like Capcom to bring in Street Fighter, to bring back Street Fighter as collectibles, as NFT collectibles, and probably a card game coming up in the future. There's some rumors about Wizards, the people who made Magic the Gathering, using WAX, using the WAX network for their NFTs. You have all of this NFT action going on and people wanting to deal with NFTs and work with NFTs, but there's no, you can't do it on Ethereum. You can't do it for the average person on Ethereum, but you can do it for the average person on the WAX network and PulseChain. It's looking like that's going to be the case with PulseChain. Really don't know. We're going to know once PulseChain is released, but it's looking to be that way. And that's massive. That's huge for everyone on Ethereum who's going to have, it's huge news for Ethereum users because PulseChain users, they're going to have a copy of everything that was on their Ethereum account, have a copy of everything. So if you already have an Ethereum account and you can't do anything with it because every time you want to do some action, you want to send an NFT to somebody, you want to buy a new NFT, you're constantly getting hit with a really expensive transaction cost just to do that, right? It can be $100, it can be in the thousands. It depends on how busy Ethereum is. But with PulseChain, you're all going to have a copy of everything that's on Ethereum, except you're going to be able to actually use it and deal with it. So my prediction there is that PulseChain, I think NFTs are going to be king on PulseChain. The whole NFT world, it got popular from the Ethereum network. Today, the ultimate NFT experience is on Wax, 100%, 1,000%. The Wax network, the problem they have to solve is making it easier for new people to get into the Wax network. It's terribly difficult to get into the Wax network. Once you're in it, though, everything's easy. Everything's easy and fun and kick-ass. But they suffer greatly from bringing on the new user. How does that help you if you don't use Wax? It doesn't help you at all. Like, you don't care about it. It's too confusing to even experience it. So, I'm predicting that NFTs are going to quickly become king on PulseChain. And that, I think, is a huge deal and super bullish for PulseChain. All right, other predictions. PulseX, a decentralized exchange that is going to live on PulseChain. That's huge. Ethereum has multiple decentralized exchanges, and that's positive. First of all, a decentralized exchange, if you don't know what that is, that's important. That means that once you have Ether currency on the Ethereum network, you're able to change that Ether into many other things. You can change it into something that represents the US dollar. So you could exchange your Ether to, let's say, $200. Now you have $200 in your Ethereum account. So you basically have a bank account without there being a bank. So all that BS that you deal with banks, like suddenly your card isn't working, or suddenly your card thinks that you're part of a scam or some fraud, or you go to call your bank at 2 a.m. because they won't allow a transaction to go through because you're buying a friend a beer, and then you find out that your bank's security team is closed after 2 a.m. in the morning, and you're sitting there trying to unlock your card. Whatever. There's a lot of BS that we all go through with banks, with businesses, because our money never sleeps, but banks sleep. Well, in the Ethereum world, yeah, that's what's cool about having these exchanges. You can change Ethereum, you can change Ether currency into something that represents the US dollar. You can change that Ether into purchasing collectibles. You can use something like HEX to store your value. So while Ethereum keeps dropping in value, or rising and dropping, or going all over the place, you can make that value stable with something that represents the US dollar, stable. Something that's stable in your own mind, really. Or you can convert your Ether to something like HEX that is meant to be a store of value, that is meant to only go up over time. Well, that's great when we have excess value that we don't know what we want to do with it, and we just want to use it later. So it's important to have a decentralized exchange, because that allows you to do all these actions without relying on another company, without relying on whether or not you can log into your Coinbase account, without whether or not your Crypto.com card works. So PulseChain is going to have its own decentralized exchange, which is very important for any ecosystem. So that kicks ass. And that decentralized exchange is going to be called PulseX. Go to PulseX.com, and you can learn more about how you can get some PulseX in the future as an airdrop. You can do that by sacrificing some of your value. And when you sacrifice your value, everyone is socially agreeing that this is a statement that people have freedom, basically. And okay, it's going to be a statement for that. But hey, you get PulseX tokens. Well, whatever. So go to PulseX.com, PulseChain.com. You'll get to check out all this. But I predict that that PulseX, I predict that it's going to be the world's largest decentralized exchange. I just don't know if I'm going to predict that to be at the end of this year. I think it could be. The things in DeFi move so fast and so quickly. It might take until sometime 2023 for this to happen because of all sorts of drama that's going to go on in the decentralized exchange world for stable coins or things like, whatever, anything that has a backdoor or is somehow representing the US dollar. I'm really curious how companies like Circle, Coinbase, I forget the company that has like other different USDCs. I don't even want to name these companies, but yeah, like Tether, how they're going to deal with that drama. So I've been in the cryptocurrency industry for a long time, for more than 10 years. And I understand the different ways that that stable coins can be handled with something like Pulse chain coming out, where everybody has a copy of all their US dollar tokens. How are those tokens going to be backed by some entity? It's a good question. But it's not something to really talk about here. The point is, PulseX is going to be on its way to being one of the world's largest decentralized exchanges. Today, the largest exchanges, they're decentralized. I'd say it's Uniswap. Should look it up really, but I know it's Uniswap, but I'm leaving myself open to understanding that that's not the case. But Uniswap is king right now. Yeah. So another thing I predict here. All right, let me talk about HEX's price. A lot of people are very interested in HEX's price. I follow a lot of people that that follow astrology and lunar phases as some of their primary influence to determine, what the price of HEX is going to be, or to determine any sort of economical predictions. And I have a lot of experience with using lunar phases to determine trends in companies. And there is a lot of bias with the moon cycle. There is a lot of bias. It's kind of amazing. There's bias everywhere, though. But you can map the lunar cycle. You can map that with other human cycles, such as holidays, such as how often most people in the United States or wherever in the world are getting paid for payday. You can map these trends, and it looks kind of like your lunar cycles look like a sine wave, right? And then these other cycles you have throughout the year are kind of like different sine waves or different waves on a graph. And you can find trends on economic prices. So I follow a lot of people that are looking at the price of different cryptocurrencies and where they're going. I feel very strongly that HEX is going to surpass HEX. In how I feel and my prediction is that HEX is absolutely going to go beyond $1 per HEX in 2022. I feel pretty strong that it'll go beyond $2. I feel very strongly that HEX will at least 10x in price from here. HEX is like 20 cents right now, 20 cents per HEX. I do feel very strongly that will happen. A HEX could 100-fold in price again. That can very much happen. The prediction that I feel very certain about is that HEX will be over $1. It will definitely be over $1 at some point in 2022. HEX just was built to do that, and it's doing it really well. And there are some ways that HEX can do it better. And I'm working with the team to deliver that token. Talk about that later. But yeah, HEX is going to do good. HEX is going to do great. But HEX is going to be on both Ethereum and PulseChain. Where's HEX going to do better? I feel certainly that HEX is going to do better on PulseChain, like as far as price performance. But I really don't know. I'm not going to make a prediction on that because you might say, well, lots of people are actually going to be able to use HEX and feel more comfortable using HEX. But at the same time, in the Ethereum world, the people who are going to want to use HEX typically have more money to use with it, or larger institutions, and they might not care about PulseChain because PulseChain, it's uncertain how all the drama is going to work out with PulseChain and stablecoins that are going to exist automatically on PulseChain. So I really don't know if HEX is going to have a greater price on, I don't have a crystal ball with any of these predictions I'm making. I have no crystal ball. They're just things that I analyze and conclude, and I'm like, wow, cool. I could be right. I could be wrong. But I do feel very strongly that HEX, whether it's PulseChain or Ethereum network or both networks, HEX is going to be worth more than $1 on both networks. I feel very strongly about that. I feel more strongly that HEX will be worth more than $1 on at least one of the networks. So that's cool. HEX is going to surpass $1 in 2022. Woohoo! I do feel very strongly that HEX can surpass $10 on one of the exchanges. I feel very strongly about that. So if it happens, I'm not going to be surprised. I will be surprised, though, if HEX surpasses $20 or $30. I'll be extremely surprised by that. I would bet against it. But as far as betting that prediction on HEX, I'm positioning myself for that. All right, so HEX's ecosystem is only going to continue to grow as well. And while I do believe that HEX's price will be greater on the PulseChain network, I do strongly believe that there will be more fiat on-ramps for HEX in the future, or there will be fiat on-ramps. Right now, I only know of one exchange that you can buy HEX from. One centralized exchange, sorry. You can get HEX from decentralized exchanges like Uniswap. So while you can get HEX today from a decentralized exchange, an exchange that is like an actual company, there's hitbtc.com. You can exchange your Bitcoin for HEX. That's the only one that I'm aware of. But I really feel in 2022 that HEX is going to be on at least 2 other centralized exchanges. But the fiat on-ramps are huge. I have a lot of experience with making fiat on-ramps, being part of a team that makes the technology behind it and the human resources behind it, the work that has to be done. And I'll tell you what, if the HEX community really wants me to make a fiat on-ramp for HEX, I'll do it. I'm not going to do it out of love. It's a ton of work, but love will be included very much. I would do it for a high salary. So, hey, I'm admitting it's probably the only thing I would do for anyone else. I would do it for the HEX community. HEX, by the end of 2022, HEX will be on at least twice as many, or 3 more, whatever, twice as many, on at least 2 other centralized exchanges. So here's something I really feel. It's not with like a cryptocurrency or anything, but speaking of HEX, I believe that HEX is going to make many more millionaires, at least 2,000 more millionaires. How can that be calculated? By using an app called Staker app and looking at how many people have something called T-shares. For those of you who understand what I'm saying, you can understand how I will come up with a number saying, I think at least 2,000 people will become newly made millionaires from HEX. That's cool. And that's it with HEX. Next is we got a company called Binance here, company run by humans that is pretending to be decentralized. I mean, I guess you could say it, but I predict that through 2022, the world is going to declare war against Binance. I don't know really how to explain what that is going to mean, but what I would like to say from it is, we all use something centralized in some way. People who are living off cryptocurrency, they all use something centralized in some way to use that cryptocurrency in the real world. Cryptocurrency is not an available option to buy things wherever you are. It is. There are people who live solely on cryptocurrency and only spend cryptocurrency. There are people who do. Shout out to Joel Valenzuela, who's in New Hampshire. He publishes that information, but he has a lot of blogs on how to live on cryptocurrency. I did it for more than 6 months long ago. The only thing I couldn't do it with was for paying taxes. And what else? And also buying the home. But But so that's a big problem today. So centralized exchanges are important. Centralized exchanges won't be important anymore when you can spend your cryptocurrency anywhere and use it anywhere. Some of you might say, hey, I have a BitPay card, bitpay.com, or I have a Coinbase card. I don't need an exchange. Well, your credit card is an exchange. Your BitPay credit card or your BitPay debit card, it is an exchange. The BitPay debit card just makes it useless, or sorry, makes it not necessary for a business to accept cryptocurrency in order for you to do business with them. But this has to do with myself talking about Binance, right? The legacy systems that exist today for like money, the Federal Reserve, even businesses themselves who are accepting some form of value, the cryptocurrencies threaten a lot of existing businesses. Cryptocurrencies are a better tool for a lot of systems that already exist in our world. And these systems, the people who are working behind them, like for example, people who work at whatever money issuing company, or people who work at Visa, people who work at PayPal, cryptocurrencies do threaten their business model. And their business model is to survive. The number one rule in business is to stay in business. And I think that's hilarious, but it's true. People forget about this. So number one rule, stay in business. Cryptocurrencies, unless you join them, they're going to be a constant force that is taking your customers away from you. So Binance is one of the biggest companies doing that. It's also one of the companies that is pissing regulators off the most. And well, when you piss off entities who really believe that they're keeping people safe, they take that very serious. And it's great that we have regulators that are doing working night and day, literally, like all night and all day, to take all these scammers out of our society. So when companies like Binance are toying with their regulation, or toying with their existing systems to keep people safe, this makes you a bigger target. I'm sure Binance as a corporation is working hard to not have this be the case. But there's another war going on. The other war is, where's Binance located? You see, for countries around the world and superpowers around the world, there is a very important need it's beneficial to control online markets. For example, long ago, file sharing was a huge industry. It's still a huge industry, file sharing and file storing. And what you had was, you had a company called Mega Upload that, there were some, I think it was an Austrian company at the time. I don't remember, somewhere in Europe and then somewhere in New Zealand. I don't know. But what you had was you had a very powerful source. You had a very powerful product that had customers from all over the world. And those customers were bringing money to that company that was protected under some government that wasn't the United States and wasn't China. So this really pissed off at least the United States, because customers were being taken from Dropbox. Customers were being taken away from other USA companies to put their money into a foreign company that was serving them better. So then a war was raged against Mega Upload. This is a long story short that I followed and was very interested in. So Binance is kind of doing that today. It's taking money from all sorts of countries all over the world and people in the USA. It's generating income from that, which, as Binance is generating income and they're becoming richer, or whoever they pay taxes to is becoming richer, the superpowers such as the United States lose their influence because their customers don't care about their product. Well, let me give you a better example. And this is why I really think like every country is going to wage war against Binance. Because every country right now is in its best interest to embrace cryptocurrency. I mean, this started even as much as like 8 or more years ago, where the United Kingdom said, hey, cryptocurrency companies, come here, come to the United Kingdom. We're not going to kick your doors down. We're not going to kick your ass. Just bring your business here and everything will be great. because that influence is important. And so what you had is, it's in every country's best interest to embrace cryptocurrency, just like it was in every country's best interest to embrace the internet. The internet was a great tool for everyone, great tool for everybody, for all businesses, for all people. So, governments have to do the same things that companies do. They have to adapt to the times or they're going to be replaced. Another example of this was like within China. The Chinese, where like 10 years ago, 20 years ago, even 5 years ago, even 2 years ago, even the Chinese, when they were using the internet at first, they were giving all their information, even all their attention, which is valuable, which is money, all their attention, even their money, even their advertising mental space. All these Chinese were giving that to foreign companies. So foreign companies were able to advertise to the Chinese better. Well, so, what happened was you'd start hearing about something called a Great Firewall, the Great Firewall of China, that was preventing you'd hear Chinese people can't use YouTube, Chinese people can't use Google, Chinese people can't use whatever companies out there. So a lot of people, this was promoted as censorship. Oh, China's censoring its people. But the truth is, no, China wasn't censoring its people. The country of China was protecting its interests. The country of China was saying, you know what? Let's make our own businesses that are meccas, that great economy from the internet. Let's make our own Dropbox. Let's make our own YouTube. Let's make our own search engine. So in the United States, where you had Google, in China you had Baidu. I think that's how it was pronounced. You would have Tudou instead of YouTube in the United States. And those aren't the most popular. That's just some of them in China. United States, you had PayPal and all these things. And in China, you had Zhifubao. By the way, I used to speak Mandarin and stuff, so you hear a little bit of that accent. So I know these things, like I've experienced them. So this is kind of the same story with Binance. Binance, all countries in the world are going to want to know, hey, how much taxes does Binance owe us? How much information does Binance owe us? Can Binance be like these banks? Can Binance be a spy for us? Can they spy on our own people or spy on other people? So there's just so much interest in exchanges as far as information goes and as far as finances goes. But if Binance cannot give the world a clear picture of where they are centrally located and who they, bow their allegiance to, I really feel that there will be like a world war against Binance, and Binance will no longer be one of the biggest exchanges. Lesson learned, don't keep any of your funds on Binance. That could turn into a really bad thing. And that was a pretty long rant of mine for that. Not so much of a rant. It's just there's a lot of information to see that through. So last thing I'd like to say is by the end of 2022, it won't be as early as it is now to get into things like Ethereum, PulseChain, especially HEX. It won't be as early by the end of 2022. Today is still super early to take your education into your own responsibility, to be responsible for your own education, to be responsible for your own value, your own money. So stop depending on these banks for your wealth, your value. Stop depending on these school systems for your education. If they were so great, you would already know about cryptocurrency. If they were so great, you would already have all these kick-ass, you would have more of your desires. Because you can have everything you desire in the world, but if you're putting your responsibility in somebody else's hands to have that desire, it's not going to happen. So today, it's early. It's still early to get into these things. And the earlier you are, the better. People who are in the internet early, they, their life was shaped by that. And they benefited earlier than later. Hey, or maybe you're off grid and you don't care, and that's great. Maybe you're not even on Earth and you're living in the spirit world, and you're great with that. Whatever. But if you're watching this video, you're probably interested in cryptocurrencies, and I'm letting you know it's very early to get in, to educate yourself, and do that. I'm using this new streaming software to check it out, and I can't see chats or anything. I don't even know if there are chats. This is how I like to make videos. You can see all my other past videos. I don't like to edit things. I like to be very honest and have everything be there. And to be frank, it helps me out since I don't really have a big desire to chop things up and to make things look more glorious than they do look. I've done that at times and it's fun. But hey, hope everybody enjoyed this video. Hope you enjoyed it. I hope as well people you know that want this information will find it. I'm happy to share it, and I'll be doing more sharing as well from this office and wherever else I am in the world. And I'll figure out this streaming software, figure out this whole chat system. This is cool. It's fun. So, hey, have a good day. Enjoy yourselves. Wait. Okay. Now you can enjoy.